President Trump on Monday said he would be disappointed if something is in the works in North Korea and that the U.S. is watching activities in the Asian nation closely. Tension has been rising in recent weeks, stoking fears that the two countries could return to a collision course they had been on before launching diplomacy last year. U.S. Special Envoy for North Korea, Stephen, has arrived in Seoul on Sunday amid speculation that he might try to salvage a negotiation by reaching out to North Korea, which has vowed to take an unspecified new path if Washington fails to soften its stance before the end of the year. Zimbabwean authorities have arrested the wife of Vice President Constantino Chiwenga on charges of money laundering, fraud and violating exchange control regulations. 38-year-old Mary Mobaiva was arrested last week and has appeared in court today. Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission has declined to give further details. Mobaiva is also accused of having brought two Range Rover cars, registering them in her name in South Africa. Delhi court has convicted expelled BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar for raping a woman in Unnao in 2017, saying the victim's testimony was truthful and unblemished against a powerful person. The court convicted Sengar for rape under Indian Penal Code and the POCSO Act for offence of a public servant committing penetrative sexual assault against a child. The court will hear arguments on the quantum of sentence on December 18. The offences entail maximum punishment of life imprisonment. Massive protests were staged in India for a fifth straight day over a new Indian citizenship law based on religion, with Prime Minister Modi calling for calm, saying that the demonstrations were deeply distressing. Firebrand leader from eastern West Bengal state, Mamata Banerjee, took out a huge rally as she marched with thousands of protesters to condemn ruling Bharatiya Janata Party's legislation. Anger with PM Modi government has grown by allegations of police brutality at Jamia Millia Islamic University when officers entered the campus in the capital New Delhi and fired tear gas to break up a protest. At least 100 people were wounded. Tear gas engulfed central Beirut as security forces chased protesters near Lebanon's parliament in a second night of street clashes that wounded dozens of people. Hundreds of people returned to demonstrate despite a fierce crackdown by security forces the night before, when clashes had also injured dozens. It marked the most violent unrest in the capital in a historic wave of protests that has swept Lebanon since October 17th and pushed Saad al-Hariri to resign as prime minister. The protests erupted from anger at a political elite that has overseen decades of corruption and steered the country towards its worst economic crisis since 1975 to 1990 civil war. Nomination of Lebanon's next prime minister was postponed. Political situation has gone from bad to worse in the country. More than 7 weeks since Saad al-Hariri quit as prime minister, prompted by protests against the ruling elite. Politicians have been unable to agree on a new administration despite a deepening financial crunch. Beirut food merchants have warned that the prolonged political instability may cause a food shortage. Despite differences between the main parties over composition of a new parliament and a government, Hariri had been on course to be nominated prime minister for a fourth time, but in a last-minute change of planned president, Michel Aoun postponed these until Thursday at Hariri's request to allow for more talks about the next government. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets to demand the government maintain the minimum wage for young people and the universal right to a pension, even though the UK has repeatedly denied considering those changes. Other groups of marchers protested what they say is a lack of government action to prevent the murder of hundreds of human rights activists, corruption at universities and other issues as well. Though the vast majority of the protest until now had been peaceful, 98 people were arrested, while 122 civilians and 151 members of the security forces were injured. On October 2nd this year, Ecuador's President Lenin Moreno announced an unpopular austerity measure that would end decades-old fuel subsidies as part of a $2 billion government fiscal reform package. The unrest was the latest flashpoint in Latin America over unpopular structural economic reforms. Moreno declared a state of emergency the next day as protesters hurled stones and erected burning barricades. Indigenous groups, students and unions joined the action, barricading roads with rocks and burning tires. In Quito, masked youth faced off with riot police and drove them back with tear gas and deployed armored vehicles. Officials say the elimination of fuel subsidies was necessary to lift a struggling economy and stop smuggling. Diesel and gasoline prices have been rising significantly in the country. At least one person was killed on Monday as strong storms left a trail of smashed buildings, splintered trees and downed power lines in Louisiana. One person died when an apparent tornado struck a small residential area in Vernon Parish. However, more details were not immediately available. Officials fear others could be hurt in the area since crews were still trying to get into hard-hit areas where downed trees and power lines block roads. Nearly 6,000 area homes and businesses were without power. Damage also was reported about 25 miles away. Schools in Alabama, Louisiana and Mississippi dismissed students early and cancelled afternoon events and activities. Houston officials say dozens of people were decontaminated as a precaution after trace amounts of mercury spilled at 3 locations in the city. Houston Fire Chief Sam Pena said that the situation was under control and crews were clearing up the spills. Between 30 and 60 people were given decontamination showers and a pregnant woman was taken to a hospital as a precaution. The FBI announced on Monday that 19-year-old Christopher Lee Melder was arrested and charged in connection with the spill. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, elemental mercury is liquid at room temperature. It's used in some places and also in some light bulbs. Turkey began relocating a historic mosque from an ancient town that soon will be underwater as part of a controversial dam project built in 15th century. The mosque is the last structure to be relocated from 12,000-year-old city before the ancient town is fully submerged by floodwaters of Turkey's 4th biggest dam. In a bid to attract tourists to the area, 8 historic structures, including a massive tomb, an ancient Turkish bath, and a mosque are being moved from the old town to the new town, Yeni. Archaeologists in Mexico have discovered a previously hidden passage at a palace in the ancient Mayan city. Passage was discovered at the governor's palace and is believed to date as far back as 670 CE at 25 meters in length and with arches that reach 7 meters high. Decorative features on its walls indicate that the passage's ceilings are from the early era with fine cuts in limestone and strong finishes. Researchers believe the discovery of the passage could in fact reveal new insights into the ancient Mayan civilization with the system of governance and traditional ceremonies performed. Archaeologists also unearthed artifacts at the site, including a mask of the Mayan rain deity and the remains of 3 staircases that would form the basis of the new digs. A giant New Year tree was delivered by Russia's Father Frost to the Kremlin. The 90-year-old tree will be decorated by 25th of December to celebrate the first day of 2020. In fact, the tradition of decorating a tree to celebrate the New Year in Russia dates back to the 17th century when Peter the Great introduced it following his travels in Europe. A tree measures 27 meters in height and its trunk has a diameter of 70 centimeters. On December 25th, around 6,000 children from across Russia will take part in New Year celebrations at the Kremlin. The stark beauty of the Union Glacier, just 600 kilometers from the South Pole, attracted 56 runners from 17 nations to the 2019 Antarctic Ice Marathon. It was 84-year-old Roy Jorgen who in fact stole the show. The Canadian clocked 11 hours, 41 minutes and 58 seconds, slowest time of the year, but merely completing the course represented a stunning achievement, and he goes into the record books as the oldest person in history to complete a marathon in Antarctica.
What a wonderful day. Thank you, thank you.
There you go.
Holy smokes, I did not expect that.
Right!
Yeah. Awesome job.
Yeah, thank you guys.
A Peruvian mother of Siamese twins celebrating a Christmas miracle this year after her babies came home for the first time after undergoing a successful surgical separation operation. The babies, Edgar and Dominique, who were born in a cesarean procedure last December, arrived at home last Saturday after recovering at the National Institute of Children's Health Hospital, where there were in fact nearly 18-hour surgery was performed in September. Cases like theirs, known in fact are twins, which are conjoined at the lower part of the pelvis region up to the abdomen and are extremely rare, occurring once every 200,000 births. The surgery involved more than 40 medical specialists, including pediatric surgeons and other doctors, including nurses and many more. Animals join in with festive fun at the zoo in London as zookeepers surprise them with seasonal treats. Sumatran tiger Asim opened a pile of brightly patterned gift boxes to find turkey wings, while ring-tailed lemurs looked through Christmas stockings for the veggie trimming stuffed inside. The zoo's troop of Bolivian black-capped squirrel monkeys woke up to their own surprise a new Christmas stocking-shaped climbing frame decorated with edible gifts. London Zoo is offering a festive twist on trips to the zoo with themed rides and a chance to make presents for the animals among the seasonal attractions.